Hello and welcome to Total Drama Multiverse Season 2. This is our, third game show episode? Yeah, episode 4, so it's our third game show episode. And I'm excited for this one, because we have a really good challenge suggestion. But yeah, let's just get into it with our pre-challenge section. So, we can talk about, honestly, not too much going on, despite there's a huge amount of, characters. There's not too much going on right now. I think a few things is Jack has started to go past the point of being kind of jealous of 2D, and now he's kind of being a little rude to 2D. So 2D's starting to notice that. Alice and Mel have been getting along pretty well still. Everyone is scared of 6, okay? After hearing what happened to the other two last challenge. So everyone's kind of just scared of 6, so she's just on her own. And Captain Underpants is just by himself right now. He's still Captain Underpants. So then on the Wild Wasps, he's not Mr. Crep right now. On the Wild Wasps, Bruce, has decided to start waking up early in the morning and going on the morning runs with Jin Woo. And so that he can learn more about him, because every day he can see the physical strength buffs and stat buffs that's happening to Jinwoo, and he's very curious about it because he's Batman. Bruce is Batman, so he's Batman. Whatever. Ash isn't coming with him though. Meanwhile, Guinevere is kind of annoyed with Bruce at the fact that they, just because of the challenge, the challenge ability. They voted out Puss instead of voting out Daisy, because Guinevere really wanted Daisy gone for personal reasons. Meanwhile, Daisy's still being an asshole, and Sky, who was genuinely bonding a little bit with Puss, is kind of just on the outs right now, trying to lay low for a bit, considering she's the most powerful person here. I was about to say second only to 6, but she's more powerful than 6. And then on the Chaotic Coyotes, so between Lauren, Tristan, and Ezekiel, that whole thing's still going on. Same with Patrice as well. But now it's left Lena kind of in the dark when it comes to hanging out with Lauren and Tristan, because it's happening so often. So Lena in confessional starts talking about how she doesn't like being alone and ignored by the others, because it leaves her alone with her quote-unquote thoughts, which then a shadow appears behind her, and it's her aunt, and she's like, "Are you talking about me?" And she's like, no, for sure not. And then she does a fake thumbs up to the camera. And then the only other thing really going on, I guess there is enough going on, is that Samus is very attracted to Steve. So, yeah, I think that's kind of like a Harold LaShawna couple, and how weird it is. But that's pretty much it for our pre-challenge section. Now we move to our challenge section. So, despite having more people, the Chaotic Coyotes, no one will be sitting out, because this is Challenge 27, Skits and Giggles, obviously parodying the saying shits and giggles. So this was suggested by Raymond the Fire God 5598, if you remember him from, or I'm assuming it's him, from last season, where he suggested 5 of the challenges. But in this challenge, each team will be given until sundown to write and perform a short skit of any theme they want, but they have to agree on it. Once it's time to see the shows, Chris, Chef, and Monica, as a fun cameo, will all judge the shows out of 10. Whichever team performs the worst will end up for elimination. So actually, I'll bring them up here. I think that's fair. Yeah, that looks better. So yeah, they have until sundown. Also, Monica obviously isn't busy. They're able to freeze the time in her reality whenever she comes to do the cameo. And right now, the MHA timeline's kind of in that, if you know this, kind of in that end of season 2 during that whole tournament, kind of on that, around that area, between season 2 and season 3. In the timeline. So, yeah, I think we'll mix up the order a little bit. We'll do that. So we'll start with I feel like the Chaotic Coyotes are the most interesting, so we'll do that. The Chaotic Coyotes from Total Drama World Tour and Island. Okay, so Misfit Monkeys. I think Alice and Mel immediately want to go for some dark humor, while I don't really know what. I think Six would kind of agree on that. The skit can be, like I said, about anything. It just has to be like funny, entertaining, or just good. Captain Underpants probably starts like trying to suggest fart jokes, so obviously he's not much of a help. And Jack and Tootie are too busy arguing with each other to really care. So they end up going for some dark humor, which is mainly put on by Alice, Mel, and Six. And they're able to convince Jack and Tootie don't really care right now, and they're able to convince Captain Underpants by eventually just Alice gets mad at him and slaps him in the face, but since her because he's really annoying, but since her body's made out of ink, which is a liquid, it turns him back into Mr. Krupp, and she keeps that in mind. Now she just needs to learn how to turn him into Captain Underpants. So Mr. Krupp agrees, because Mr. Krupp would definitely be someone who's into dark humor. So that's what they're going for. We can move you over here as well. Then on the Wild Wasps, Ash probably. I don't know what Ash or Jinwoo or Bruce. I think that Guinevere and Daisy would both want to go for, like, obviously for different reasons, but would want to go for like kind of a girlier thing, but it gets shut down pretty easily by the other four because they got to know their audience, which is what Bruce ends up deciding, is they have to know their audience. They have to know what Chris, Chef, and Monica like. So they know Chris is into chaos and stuff, while they know Chef is into more like military stuff and just stuff like that in general. And then they don't really know Monica, but they can assume based off the fact that she's a high school girl. So, yeah, I guess she is in high school. Like, yeah, I think so. It says they're all 18, but I think it's just because it's a dating simulator in the main game, because that doesn't really make sense. And she has to be a freshman so that she can be with Izuku in this timeline anyway. So whatever. I think that they kind of run out of ideas before Sky, who wants to at least prove to her team that she's worth keeping around, because she can see that these four kind of have something going on. So she wants to at least, be kind of like what Steve's been doing. So she ends up saying that she knows Chris and knows Chef. She's been on the island with them for a few months now. So they end up agreeing to let her take charge, and she starts trying to... Actually, she knows Monica a little bit, too. So they let her take charge into making the skit, and she makes one that's a mix of all three of their personalities. So then on the Chaotic Coyotes, this is where we have our first major, like, lore-relevant argument. So, in a bit. So, Steve and Samus are too busy flirting with each other. And now they obviously want to go for like a gothic aesthetic. I'm going to put you here because I feel like that fits better. And then having Tristan in between Lauren and Ezekiel goes better as well. So these three want to go for a like goth themed thing. And I don't think Ezekiel or even really any of these four would be that into it, but especially Ezekiel, who starts going off about, I ain't participating in all that woke bull crap. And Tristan's like, just because it's emo doesn't mean it's woke. You know that, right? And, or not emo, but goth. I think those are two different things. I don't really know. And Ezekiel's like, oh, I don't want to hear it from you. And Tristan's like, damn, dude, you need to chill. And then Patrice is like, yo, you're not doing yourself any favors right now, Zeke. And Ezekiel's like, nah, I've had it with this. Freaking Lauren has decided to hang out with these creeps more than hanging out with her own brother. and yada yada yada. Lauren obviously stands up. She's like, I can have other friends. And Ezekiel, who's never had a friend in his life outside of Lauren and now Patrice, really doesn't want to lose that. So, you can see where he's coming from, but he's still being a freaking asshole. And then, so these four are going at it again. These two aren't stepping up because they're just horny. And Lena ends up screaming and breaking up the whole argument for everyone to shut up, and that that it's not helping anybody, and that we're going to change it, and it's going to be going by her rules and what she wants, because no one else can do anything without arguing. And everyone, and when she does this, you can see like her aunt behind her in her shadow smiling. So and her she's starting to like look a little bit more like her. Now it goes away immediately after she calms down, but that is something that happens in the show when she gets like angry or fearful or something, or like when she has, I think there's one scene where she has a panic attack and she's like trying to see if she wants to be herself or if she wants to be like her aunt, and she like starts morphing into her aunt, and you see that with her eyes in this, and everyone's like, yes ma'am. And she ends up taking control. So it hits nighttime and the skits have been made, and not everyone has to be, this is why I didn't have someone sit out on the Chaotic Coyotes. Not everyone has to be a part of the skit, they just have to have worked on it a little bit. So that could be filming it, editing it, whatever. Yeah, so we'll go in the same order. We'll start with the Misfit Monkeys. So with the Misfit Monkeys, they went for dark humor. And I think what they end up doing, I don't know like the exact jokes they'd be making, but I think they'd end up going for like a subversion of expectations kind of thing. And I think that realistically out of 10, Chris would probably give it an 8 or 9, because he'd be like, man, that was funny, but it was really, really dark at the end. And then Chef would probably gave him like PTSD or something. By the way, these guys were like the Captain Underpants, well, right now Mr. Krupp was the person who filmed it, and these two had to edit it, which didn't go over well. So Chef gives it like a 5, and Monica gives it probably, I don't know what she'd give, dark humor. I feel like she'd be into dark humor. I mean, she did hang her friend and yeah. So I think she'd be into it. So I think she'd give it an 8. So 9 plus 4 plus 8 is 21, unless I'm retarded, right? Yeah, 21. 21. I'm just gonna put that there so that I remember. And then we get to the Wild Wasps. Now, on the Wild Wasps, Sky was able to get all three of them, gauge it all really well. I think what she does is she's also able to handle her team well. This kind of shows that she is like a leader. She got that from her mom and her dad. So she decides to assign everyone a role. The first role is the actors, and she's kind of the director. So Ash, Jinwoo, and Batman, or Bruce, have the strongest relationship here, so they are all the actors. While Guinevere is the editor, because Sky is also able to kind of sense something off and technological and fake about Guinevere, so she decides to give it to her. And then Daisy is the recorder. That way those two can be far away from each other and not have the same thing happen that is happening right now between 2D and Jack. So whenever it comes to the thing, I think that Chris probably gives them like a 10, Chef like a 9, and Monica like a 9, which means that they get 19, they get 28 points out of 30. So they do really well, and everyone is cheering because obviously that means they've already won immunity because the Misfit Monkeys are lower than them. And everyone's cheering, and they really respect Sky now. So Sky likes that, but she's still gonna, like, strategy-wise, try to be under the radar, because she doesn't want to make enemies with this group, and also she just wants this to be happening. So then we have the Chaotic Coyotes. And I think with them, it's kind of bullshit. And this is one reason why I thought about changing a little bit of who the hosts are for the challenge. But I feel like it wouldn't make sense for Chris, the host of Total Drama, to not be one of the judges, not hosts, judges for this. So I kept Chris. But both of Chris's children and 3 of Chris's children's friends are on this team. So Chris automatically makes a BS excuse and gives them a 10. Chef also gives them a 10. And Monica would probably end up giving them like a realistic 7. Which gets them at 27 points. Which is still more than enough to beat the Misfit Monkeys. So yeah, that's a pretty accurate representation of what I think would happen. So we bring down Chris, Chef, and Monica, and then I can delete these. This is also sending the Misfit Monkeys to elimination again for the second time, while the Chaotic Coyotes haven't even been sent once, mainly because I just want to give that team a little bit of plot armor so that their plot lines can flourish out, or a little more reflourish. Wait, no, that's reflourish is a Plants vs. Zombies mod. What am I talking about? So we can now go to our post-challenge section, where I think the first thing that happens is on, I've already kind of said this, so I'll go into this. On the Wild Wasps, everyone respects Sky, and Bruce decides that he would rather have Sky, because Bruce is playing from a very strategical standpoint. So he would rather have Sky on his side than just voting her out after getting out Daisy, because he views Sky as someone who is going to be a great leader and someone that will get far in the game with him and will be a good ally, but also someone that he can get out for something like framing her as a jury threat, or because they don't know if there's a jury or not. Heck, I don't know if there's going to be a jury or not at the end of the season, but framing her as someone who's too likable and too likely to win the game at the end. So Bruce starts thinking of strategies. He's been thinking of strategies, but including Sky in those strategies. So then on the Chaotic Coyotes, yeah. So I think one thing that does happen is, I don't know if it'd probably be, I don't know if I'm going to use Tristan or Patrice for this. It's not going to be either of these two, because these two just go off and spend the rest of their days alone. But I think, instead, we'll do this. I think Patrice comes up to Tristan, and both of them talk, and both of them come to the conclusion that their goal now is to make Ezekiel and Lauren just chill out. And yeah, that, because like it's actually so bad, and they don't want to lose allies themselves because of Lauren and Ezekiel bitching. Because if they do that, then Steve and Samus can get the upper hand, and then their whole team will just be cooked. Then Tristan asked, by the way, where the heck is Lena? And we cut to on the left mountain peak, because remember there's 3 mountain peaks on this island, where Lena is kind of having a panic attack. Not like full on, but she's like, wow, I can't believe I did that. She's not really having a panic attack. It's kind of like a, oh my gosh, I can't believe I really said all that mean stuff to, well, she really didn't even say anything bad, it's just in her head. That means stuff to my friends. And then her aunt comes out and is like, you're not here to make friends, you're here to free me. And after that, you won't ever even see them again. So it doesn't matter. And she's like, yes, ma'am. And then she has the aunt goes back into the shadow, and she hears, hey, who are you talking to? And she looks behind, and it's Lauren. And Lena's like, oh, nothing, just myself. And Lauren walks up to her, and Lauren, being the very bad social person that she is like, oh, I didn't know you had voices in your head. I have voices in my head too, but that might just be because I'm crazy. And Lena's like, well, actually, I do. And then they start talking about feelings and a bunch of boring stuff. But no, I'm kidding. But they bond pretty well there. Which her aunt doesn't approve of at all. So then we have the Misfit Monkeys. Morale is pretty low, but they decide to blame it mainly on Tootie and Jack for having horrible editing, which was one of the reasons they lost points. I forgot to mention that earlier. So they've decided they're split between Tootie or Jack. They don't know which one they want to keep in the game, because on the one hand, Jack's kind of been a dick, but also Alice and Mel and Six aren't ones to care about that at all, while Tootie is super nice and super chill, but isn't nearly as good in challenges physically, because Tootie, I mean, he can't see right, he's kind of slow in general. I mean, just look at the picture of him. So they're kind of split on what they should do. And since Captain Underpants is Mr. Krupp right now, and not Captain Underpants, it doesn't stand up for Tootie. So when we hit the elimination ceremony, Jack votes Tootie, Mr. Krupp votes Tootie, Six votes Tootie, Mel votes Tootie, and Alice votes Tootie, sending 2D home in episode 4. See, with Tootie and Jack's plotline breaking the fourth wall now, I didn't want to make it go for too long, at least both of them. Obviously, one of them will last longer than the other, that being Jack. But I didn't want it to go for too long, because I already have Guinevere and Daisy, which is just going to be, oh my gosh, I can't talk, just going to be this, but better. So I decided against keeping them both in, even though I do really like Gorillas, and I do really like 2D. But yeah, when asked the question of if he would like to compete in the comeback challenge later this season, 2D's like, I ain't got nothing better to do, why not? So 2D is officially the first person, I can add this tab because I forgot to earlier, to join the comebacks. So, so that can be, we can make that purple. So that can be right there. 2D is attempting to come back in the future. Yeah, so that's gonna pretty much do it for this episode, honestly. I hope too many of you weren't rooting for 2D, especially I hope Raymond wasn't, because I think it was Raymond. Was it Raymond? I can't remember if it was Raymond or somebody else, but I'm pretty sure it was Raymond, the fire god, that was rooting for both Goofy and Puss, and both of them got eliminated. So whoever that was, whether it was Raymond or somebody else, I hope you weren't rooting for 2D, because that is pretty bad luck. I promise I'm not trolling. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for this episode of Total Drama Multiverse. I hope you all enjoyed, because I know I did, and I cannot wait to catch y'all in the next one. See ya. Puss watched the elimination from afar. Ugh, how am I ever gonna get the one-up mushrooms? I've been looking for weeks. Suddenly he heard a whisper in his ear. Huh, I've been seeing that you've been wanting a few more chances at life, am I right? Puss is like, who is that? And the voice says, here, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Malik. That's gonna do it for this episode, for real this time. See ya.